Kiffin, Lane Dre.
Hey, wordplay on 1,000 billion.
We're dropping bars up here and Get Up. We are rolling this morning. These guys are here. Schrager's ready to roll. The huge NFL news. We got the college covered, and from every possible direction, huge college crew coming your way as we get you set for the national semis, which begin tomorrow night. But of course, the enormous news in the NFL is where it begins. The Ravens firing John Harbaugh, who now immediately becomes the hottest coaching free agent in the league. He's dismissed after Sunday's stunning loss to the Steelers, which left the Ravens out of the playoffs for the first time since 2021. He coached the team for 18 years, won a Super Bowl, and did nothing but win. In fact, here's an illustration of that. Since they drafted Lamar Jackson in 2018, the Ravens have won 86 regular season games but have failed to reach the Super Bowl. You see where that number falls in there. It actually connects to another stretch during the Harbaugh era of how many games they won. So that's sort of a theme here. A whole lot of winning and falling just short at the end. And there are a whole lot of other factors. So put your feet up. We've got the explanation, and then we'll tell you what it all means. For the explanation, we turn to Peter Schrager. What happened?
Yeah, look, there was a lot of smoke going into the final month of the season that if the Ravens had missed the playoffs, there was a chance that John Harbaugh would not be back. They missed the playoffs in the most unlikeliest of fashions on that missed field goal by Tyler Loop. But Monday, there was nothing. And then Tuesday, there was a meeting set for John Harbaugh and the leadership and ownership of the Ravens. And I still didn't get the feeling that it was going to be Harbaugh out. In fact, no one in that building did. Harbaugh went in there, and if I could tell you that no one was surprised with the outcome, but I think everyone was shocked with how it went down and how rapidly. The meeting lasted about 45 minutes, and Harbaugh was told that the team was going to go in a different direction. One of the key disconnects, apparently, from reporting that I've done and others have, is Harbaugh's vision of his coaching staff moving forward and what ownership and leadership's vision was moving forward. That could be coordinators, but I was also told this was not Lamar Jackson saying it's Harbaugh or me. It was more, what is the vision of this team? How do we get over the hump? And is Lamar Jackson in the best position possible to not only win, but to want to sign an extension here when his contract is up and potentially restructure whatever deal he has now for the better of the team if we were to go down that direction? Todd Monken was not thrown under the bus by John Harbaugh, nor was Zach Orr, and at the end of the day, it was Harbaugh who loses his job after 18 years. I will also add this. It was such a surprise that the coaches and staff members within that building were not notified by John Harbaugh, hey, I've just lost my job. This was done so rapidly that team president Sashi Brown was the one who communicated with a lot of these people and not Harbaugh. They found the news that way. And quite honestly, they found the news out from Adam Schefter tweets. That is how this news went down, and that is not how you would imagine a guy who has given 18 years or served 18 years as the head coach and also has Super Bowl championships. So a bit of a shock with how it went down so rapidly, but around the league, not a huge shock that after 18 years and missing the Super Bowl yet again, with a quarterback that they want to make sure is happy and is in the best position to be successful moving forward, that they would move on at this point.
Okay, so let's leave that there for the moment and come over here. We'll come back to where they go from here and where he goes from here. But let's start with the Harbaugh, the Lamar, and all the inside of it from the former Raven Dominique.
Yeah, no, I think it's clear that there was some disconnect. It's impossible to say that this was Lamar's decision after you watched the way that Lamar played in that game against the Steelers. It's clear that he was looking to do what was best for the organization at that point. But going forward, it seems like no other quarterback in football is going to have more power and influence than Lamar Jackson at this point. Because whoever they hire next, especially after reading the story that was in The Sun a couple weeks ago, whoever they hire next needs to be someone that can connect with this quarterback in a way that it felt like the coaching staff didn't anymore. And that could be Harbaugh and it could be Monken. I think it sounds like Peter's reporting suggests that it wasn't as contentious as other people think, but it felt like that there was a ton of tension on that team between some of the top tier players and the coaching staff. That's over. From here going forward, like, the coaching staff's going to be fine. They're all going to get paid, and Harbaugh is going to get whatever job he wants. It seems going forward. But the future for the Ravens, I think, the legacy of the players that are there, or Lamar. The players, Lamar's the guy. I don't know why I'm talking about everybody else.
Come on.
Lamar.
Thank you.
It's going to be dependent on the next coach that they hire.
Pete, I love Peter, but we're churching it up as good as we can get. Everybody's friends. No, we ain't friends.
Get in there.
We ain't friends, dude. This is business associates. And they had two different visions, and one guy won. It's a Game of Thrones. America's getting to see what football looks like behind the curtain, bro. And one guy wanted to go one way, and one guy wanted to go another way. And guess what?
To be clear, one guy is Lamar and the other one is Harbaugh.
One guy's Harbaugh. And And they went with Lamar Jackson. $75 million cap hit in the next couple of years. They're going to restructure him. He's going to be, and to your point, he is the most powerful guy in football right now. And decided, I want it different. If John's either on board or John's going to go find another gig, and John's finding another gig. And so everybody we can talk it up however we want, but this is what the power struggle of an NFL team looks like. And when people are disappointed, we can have all the great records we want in the regular season. You're going to be clearly defined on playoff victories and Super Bowl champions. Is it fair? No. Is life fair? No. John Harbaugh is going to be fine. Lamar Jackson is going to be fine. But this is, nothing ends well, and you could feel it. When you have a guy who's been around your team for a long time, writing the article he wrote about Lamar Jackson, kind of what was going on and all the different things. No, guys don't write, beat writers don't write stuff like that unless they know it's fact. And so there was an obvious source of contention between those two men, and they can tell everybody how much they love each other, and maybe they do, but they couldn't work together anymore. And at the end of the day, somebody was going to lose their gig, and they weren't moving on from Lamar Jackson, so they moved on from Harbaugh.
Yeah, multiple things can be true, which is to say Lamar Jackson doesn't have to have walked in there and said it's him or me.
Nope, that's right.
For it to have been pretty clear that he was looking to go in a different direction. So there is the where do they go from here and where does he go from here that come up next. Let's start with the Ravens. What should we be thinking about?
The Ravens is interesting. I think the immediate thought is, let's look at all the different coordinators and coaches who have been there in recent years, have had success. Jesse Minter is the defensive coordinator of the Chargers, works for Jim Harbaugh, and coached there for 4 years as an assistant in Baltimore. Anthony Weaver used to be a defensive coach there, and now he's in Miami and had an outstanding year as defensive coordinator there. I would say, hold off on that just yet. When you make a change like this, after 18 years of one coach and that coaching tree, this might be the time to do a clean sweep and get an entirely fresh new set of eyes. That's not saying that Minter or Weaver aren't the guys, but this could be someone who has no Ravens ties at all.
Right.
It could be an outside-the-box situation. It could also be someone that they think connects with, guess who? Lamar Jackson. Right. An offensive coach comes to mind, and also someone who might be forward-thinking. Names, we can go through them all. We could talk about Clint Kubiak, who's in Seattle right now and has had great success. You could talk about Cliff Kingsbury, who's just let go as the offensive coordinator in Washington. We can go through that a million times. We don't have the official list yet. I would just stress, don't just assume if someone's got Ravens ties that they're the hire.
That's right.
Yes, they missed out on Mike McDonald, and he went on and did great things in Seattle. That is a Harbaugh tree hire, and I don't know if they necessarily want to go Harbaugh tree right now.
Yeah, it feels like it seems pretty obvious that this split makes the two most attractive candidates. Like this job immediately jumps, which was Atlanta before, is probably the most, and maybe Raheem Morris is always someone that you could look at in that situation also, because the success that he had at the end in Atlanta, like I think I was a little surprised that he got fired, but I think this could be completely wild.
You're saying the Ravens opening becomes the most attractive opening?
Easy, yeah.
By a wide margin.
You're looking for a quarterback and you're looking for ownership that's willing to spend money.
Understood.
You have that.
Let me push back just this much.
Okay.
They're the best team. However, I've always said, and the Alabama job when Kalen DeBoer took it was the worst job in America because you don't want to be the guy who follows the guy. I don't want a job where you tell me if you don't win the whole thing in the first year, you're a failure. They just got rid of John Harbaugh after 18 years. Why? Because he didn't win the Super Bowl. So if the next guy doesn't win the Super Bowl in the first 2 years, he didn't get the job done. I understand your point, but there's another way to look at it, too. If you're a coach with no experience, if you're going to hire a guy with experience.
No coach looks at it that way.
Right.
I want to win a Super Bowl.
Right.
That's why I'm in this. Where can I go win a Super Bowl? When there's a two-time MVP and who seems like he's in his prime, I'm going there. The pressure's going to be hot everywhere. I'd rather get fired with a chance to win a Super Bowl than go to some other team that's a long rebuild, and I'm just praying. I'm hoping I find somebody half as good as Lamar Jackson in the draft.
I would just hit the Lamar Jackson of it is so interesting. So he doesn't have an agent, right? Which leads to a lot of speculation from other people. He's also not necessarily going to vocally voice his opinion. So there was almost always with Lamar a little bit of eggshells there in the building. Is Lamar happy? Are we good? Even when his contract negotiation was coming up last time around, they couldn't get a hold of him at points. So if you're basing this on Lamar, do you bring him in and let him help pick the coach?